Hi, it's Hermione and welcome to this video on how to paint trees. We're going to be painting a couple of very simple trees today, inspired by either sort of the trunk of a pine tree or the trees you often see in Ghibli movies. For the paints for these trees, I have my burnt umber, which is going to be the bulk of course, what we're needing. I also have some greens on my palette from a previous painting, and there is a sap green and Prussian blue mix, a clean sap green, and a sap green that has been mixed a bit with white. And then I also have just plain white, black, and Prussian blue on my palette. For the brushes of this, I am first going to be using my angular brush. You can also use a flat brush if that is what you have. I prefer the angular one just because it forces me a bit more to be a little more random in my movements, since it does have that curve, and therefore sometimes, depending on how I hold my hand, there's also going to be like an extra level of difference from just the flat brush, but both are definitely possible. And first off, I'm going to make a couple of different mixes. For the darker mix, I have used just burnt umber, a bit of green to desaturate it, and a little bit of blue and black to darken it. And then I do the same one where I mix in just a little bit more green to get some variation, and it turns out a little bit lighter. And then lastly, for the first color I'm going to be using, I have just used burnt umber and mixed it with some yellow ochre as well to lighten it up, but still have this sort of very warm tone to it. So let's start with just a complete straight tree so that we can focus a little bit more on the details here to start off with. And for it, I'm starting with the lighter color, and I'm generally just painting in a straight line. And as you can see, I'm being very loose with the brush, and then in a couple of places I'm just going to go inwards towards the darker side of the tree with a couple of random splotches that are just what happens when I touch down my angular brush. So after having done that first line, I just dip my brush in water very quickly and make a line going straight down the edge of the paint so that it won't dry out before I have the chance to have it sort of blend on its own with the darker color. And I just like to have this wet zone, I guess, to have the paints mix better together on their own when I put them down. And then I go back to my darker color, I put in a bit more dark and green, and then I just make one long stroke down the other side of the tree. And that will just be the basic shape of the tree. And then flipping my angular brush on its side so that I can paint one very thin straight line, I start to come in a couple of places on the lighter paint and just put in some sort of random strokes and lines down the tree. We really don't have to focus too much here on what is actually going on. Just try to make sure that the ones you make aren't too much repeating the same pattern or like the same sizes or distances between them. And of course in the bottom you can include a little bit more because it will often be a little darker towards the ground. And some of them you can make a bit thicker, and then some of them keep as thin as possible with the brush. And then very quickly, while the paint is still mainly wet, I switch over to the more green mix that I had on my palette, and I just sort of dab in a couple of random places as well. This is supposed to merge in with the other colors of the tree because of course there are a lot of colors on like the bark of the tree. So often also, since there will be green around the tree, you'll have a lot of green colors shining through the trunk colors. And I just go in again a couple of random places and I try to vary up the different sizes and lengths of these sort of strokes that I make. Sometimes it's only just the tip of my brush that I use to paint with. And then, since you could see that I had like a very harsh separation between the light and the dark straight down the middle, I came back in with the lighter color and made sure to sort of soften that edge out by including some of the lighter color on the other side as well. And then I just go back and forth a tiny bit with the three colors that I've sort of been using, highlighting any place that have a lot of that color. So in the darker areas, I will make a couple of darker strokes, and in the lighter areas, I will make sure to include a couple of the lighter strokes and just sort of even out so that we see all three colors throughout. But of course, most heavily, we're seeing the shadow on that side that I have decided to be the shadow side, and then the lighter parts on the lighter side. Even though it looks like I have already put in some highlights, I really haven't. This is just sort of what happened when I went down with that initial brush stroke, where I had the paint a bit thinner on my brush and sort of just let it do its own thing. And then I'm mixing a color that is a step lighter than before. You can see I still use my burnt umber and my yellow ochre, but then I add just a tiny bit of white, and also I have more yellow ochre in this mix compared to the last, so that it is an obvious sort of highlighted area compared to the last. And I'm putting in this sort of the same way with some vertical strokes down the tree, but this time we're starting to focus much more on the highlighted side of the tree and less on the darker side of the tree. And now I'm also going to start having much more sort of detailed thin lines that I don't blur out too much. Not a lot of them, just a couple of them, so that we do see that there are some of the smaller details in the tree and not just the overall blended out color where everything sort of mixes. Now we are wanting to get some of those details a little more specifically. And if there's any place where I feel that I've started to see a shadow forming as like a crease of the tree, I will come in here and put a highlight as well to accentuate that this bump out of the tree is happening. And so now we sort of have this base of the trunk, and you can, if you want to, leave it here. This can be also used, especially if you're painting another row of trees in front of this. This can be sort of the little lower detail tree for the background, but what we're going to do now is that we're going to make it sort of a little more mystical or fitting in with our landscape a little bit better and more interesting in its look. So you can see I have this green and white mix from a previous painting, and I'm just going to put in a tiny bit of burnt umber with it. And then after having mixed it, I make sure to clean my brush before I put some of that paint back on my brush, just so that it's not as thick a layer on my brush as it was when I had just mixed it. And again, I'm looking for some of those areas where I have placed down sort of a darker line, and then I'm going to put them on the highlighted side of that. And I'm just looking for some areas that has naturally formed that I can then sort of enhance for my purpose. And after doing that, I am gonna come back with a clean damp brush to sort of at least blend out the one side of them going away from the highlights, so that to the right from our point of view they are more crisp, and then they're blended out towards the left. Then we're kind of going to be doing the same thing on the shadow side, but for this I'm going in with my mix of Prussian blue, sap green, and a little bit of white to lighten it up. And this is to include the type of light that is called ambient light. If you aren't familiar with it, just think of it as the light from objects around on the scene being reflected up towards our tree. So for here, the most obvious one would be that we are seeing the light that is being cast from the sky, which is blue, and therefore we are needing this more blue tone sort of highlight on the shadows. And this is a very common use of it in Ghibli movies as well. They do tend to have this very atmospheric use of ambient light, and especially they use a lot of blues and greens being reflected up on the shadow sides of our elements, and that is what we're doing here. And you can also sort of experiment with some more interesting shapes this time around. You can see some areas where I am not just making a straight line, I'm starting to sort of zigzag them a little bit down the tree and make sure that they aren't only going vertical, but now they're also going a bit horizontal. And what I have also noticed in Ghibli movies, and also for a lot of other painters as well, is that they tend to include these sort of small stippled lines on the sides of the trees that are sort of diagonal and then in a row. And this just really helps to create sort of a more interesting texture on the tree that you wouldn't probably figure out just by looking at a tree, but it really helped to create an interest when looking at it, so everything isn't so sort of vertical all the way down the tree, but it also has a couple more of these horizontal elements that break up the pattern of how you would normally paint the tree. And for it, I'm just using the very tip of my brush so that I don't have to switch brushes, but of course if you aren't comfortable with it, you can always switch to a smaller brush. And then lastly, I am switching to just a straight up green color and painting in a couple of areas of interest where the tree is just even more green. And when I do this, the paint is very thin on my brush. It is very watered down, so it won't be completely covering the colors behind, it'll just get sort of this green glaze on top of what I have painted previously. And lastly, I go back in with my darkest color again. I made it a tiny bit darker, and then I'm just defining the very darkest of creases within this tree to make sure that we have a good range in values from the darkest colors to the lightest colors. Again, if you are painting this sort of more in the background, we will do this less because then you would want a little less contrast between the highlights and the shadows, but this is meant to be a front tree so you can have a lot of range in the values of your trees. And if there are areas you don't like, you can always go back and forth a bit. Since this is gouache, it's very forgiving and you can always paint on top of what you've previously done. And when I do this, I try to make sure that I have a clear highlighted side, I have a clear shadow side, and then that I have a couple of clear divisions or sort of creases in the trunk up and down the tree. And then this was a lot of information for just the one tree, and now I'm just going to go over how I did this again quickly for a couple of similar looking trees, but ones that do have some branches coming out of them, because you won't always just be making a straight line for your tree. I do the same thing. I start with painting in just the general shape of my tree very lightly and quickly with a medium light color, and then with the shadows, and I slowly go in and redefine or highlight any areas that I see have already happened on its own within the trees. And here I focus on making a couple more sort of bark creases from the beginning. I always think that the sort of weirder you make the tree, the more interesting and actually more natural it looks. So definitely experiment with fun shapes or small fun creases or cracks. It will always end up looking much more interesting than just doing all of the straight lines that our mind sort of tend to have us believe that are what we should do. And as for where to use these trees, we do see them often in Ghibli movies as the more detailed front trees where we don't often see the top of them, so it can be really hard to add foliage to these, although you can use them like I have done for an example in this painting where I made some branches come out the other way of them and could paint some foliage on top of that in this landscape from Brother Bear. So that was just sort of a very quick video on how to paint these types of trees. I know it wasn't the most detailed video ever, but I hope you enjoy trying them out for your own paintings, and they're really easy to sort of plop down into a landscape to get a really nice and quick practice in. Also, if you have them just in a field or you're looking through these and bushes into the distance, I don't know, but that is definitely possibilities. And if you would like to see more videos like these, please make sure to subscribe or give a like on the video so that I know I should be making more of these for you. And also feel free to comment what you'd like to see next. So that was all for this time, and I will see you in my next video.